citizens of YouTube land.
Hey.
It's your president, Andy Reedy. And for those of you guys who watched it, you might remember that last year we were in Rogers, Arkansas area, and we decided to stop in at the Pea Ridge National Battleground Park, and we did a video on it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go back and check that one out. But today's video is the sequel follow-up, and it's our trip to the Wilsons Creek National Battleground.
So, warning, I guess your discretion is advised, because there are some talks and themes of, well, slavery and death and, all sorts of other things like that's shown in our video here.
So, a little background information on Wilsons Creek, if you will. It's the first battle of the Civil War west of the Mississippi, and it's the second major battle overall of the Civil War. And we felt that it was necessary for us to kind of shed some light on it because we're natives to the region first and foremost. So it kind of hits home on us a little bit. And secondly, because in the grand context of when we talk about the Civil War, Wilsons Creek itself is, well, often overlooked. And the thing about it is that although it ended in a Confederate victory, the bravery exhibited by the Union soldiers at the time, they were able to keep the Confederates at bay long enough for our own state assembly to make a decision on if Missouri was going to stay in the Union or not. So while it was a defeat for the Union, in the moral sense, it was a victory.
Yeah. So with that being said, you will be watching the first part of 2, because to be honest, we just got so much footage here, we have to split it up. Otherwise, this is going to be like a 3-hour-long video essay.
Yeah, and we try not to do that too much on this channel, but we hope that you guys fully appreciate and respect the effort and work that we put into this. So, without further ado, first part. Go. And we're back, guys. We're here at the first stop on the Wilsons Creek Battleground tour. And the first stop here is Gibson's Mill. And it says that the mill and house of John Gibson once stood in the valley in front of you along the Wilsons Creek on August 9th, 1861, the day before the battle. The Gibson family and their neighbors found themselves surrounded by more than 12,000 Confederate soldiers whose camps extended 2 miles south along the creek. The Gibsons made their living by grinding corn and oats into flour and by carding wool. When the cannons began to roar on the morning of August 10th, they took refuge in their cellar. Today, the house and mill are gone, but the foundation ruins are visible. The 1-mile loop trail beginning here leads to the sites of the mill and house. Down along the creek, you may also see the remnants of the mill race, a narrow earthen canal that carried water to turn the mill's water wheel.
Yep, and here's the map of basically the tour we're going on, guys. So right here used to be right here used to be the battlefield itself. So yeah, we're gonna walk down this handy dandy trail here, and it's a 1-mile loop trail. So I've walked more than that actually. So what? Yeah.
Oh, and a cool thing about it, guys, is it does appear that if you want to bring your pets along the trail, you can.
Just no biking.
But make sure to pick up after your pet should it decide to relieve itself. That's just common courtesy.
Yeah, because this area has very much been kept and preserved in its entirety since the National Park Service established the battlefields.
Even today, guys, we're still dealing and reeling from the aftermath of the Civil War. And we still have tense relations with the different races of this country. And it's heartbreaking and sad that after all this time, we still have these issues.
Yeah. Right here you can see like the camp probably right here. It's probably where we're gonna come back out of once we
Probably come back out around that way.
Yeah.
Actually, because
I don't know, I have the map, so
this is a loop.
yeah. I have the map, so who knows?
You'll want to watch your step if you decide to come down this trail, guys.
Yeah. It's just like walking the Trail of Tears all over again, Dad.
Well, not exactly. The trail is no cat.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to freak out from a bee this time around.
I don't know what that was, alright?
And guys, to the right of us
that is the creek.
Itself.
That's Wilson's Creek. A creek that has very big historical significance here in the Ozarks because of the battle.
Most of you guys probably already know this. If you didn't know, we are natives to the region, so...
Yep. Oh, here's something.
Right to the mill. Many before you have traveled the path to the mill. Although our reasons have changed, the way to the mill has always been popular. In the days before supermarkets and prepackaged ready-made foods, families depended on small mills such as Mr. Gibson's. Here their grain was ground into flour and meal, ingredients for cooking needs. Historical evidence indicates that the Gibson mill was also a wool carding mill, prepared the woolly fibers for future spinning and weaving. From miles around, farmers and wagons would gather at the mill. Political discussions, weather forecasts, and tall tales would fill the air as each party waited their turn beside the large creaking water wheel. The coming of the railroads, grain elevators, and large steam-powered roller mills signaled the beginning of the end for mills like the Gibsons. Yet today, as we travel the path to the mill, the thought of that lost way of life can supply us with much to take back home.
It's a beautiful day out here, guys, but it's also very quiet. And
you know, that's the way it tends to be, and we don't have to raise our voices as much because the wind's not blowing today.
Yeah, Pea Ridge, it was very windy that day. That's why we're talking like this the entire video.
But today we don't have to, so just kind of taking our steps and taking the whole thing in. This way.
Yeah, because it loops around and would come back out that way, Dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like.
And for those of you who are wondering, this area in general had a very booming milling industry and economy. The whole area did.
Yeah.
In fact, where we're originally from, the county not too far from here in Ozark County had at least 2 to 3 different water mills that were on the Bryant.
Where I grew up in West Plains, there's a prominent mill along the 11 point called Alley's Mill that is used for a variety of things, but originally was used to do the exact same purpose as Gibson's.
Today, all these mills are tourist attractions. The mills themselves have been long since not in use.
Yeah.
With the modern technologies of today,
again,
we end up losing.
You can't really see it on camera, but we can clearly see it that, oh, wait.
That's a good shot right through there.
Yeah.
Of the creek itself.
That there is Wilson's Creek, guys. The creek that defied what the battle would become for the Western theater of the war.
Of major significance and historical, cultural significance itself is that this battle, Wilson's Creek, was not just the first battle of the West. It was also the second overall major battle of the Civil War itself.
Yeah. I think the first one was like the first ever battle that they fought.
It would have been, I think, Fort Sumter.
Not Fort Sumter. It was the other one after that.
Yeah.
I forgot. It's been a while since I've had to study Civil War stuff, guys, so I don't.
Me too. Don't quote us completely on it, but
Gibson's Mill, quarter of a mile.
Would it have been Bull Run?
Yeah, it was that one, Bull Run. Basically, you had the Battle of Bull Run, and then right after that one, you had the Battle of Wilson's Creek. Which the battle here
necessarily have been coordinated by the other generals and the other leaders of the Civil War, as the Wilson's Creek battle itself and the whole thing
was pretty much organized by
Missouri Confederates.
That's pretty much all organized by the Missouri Confederates and, well, Missouri, the Missouri government. As Missouri wanted to stay in the Union, but the Missouri Confederates wanted to secede from the Union. And, well, that's pretty much why you got Wilson's Creek.
The government won out.
Yep.
It's always important to keep an eye on your surroundings, guys, because even in a natural place like this, you will still have to watch out for snakes and stuff. So
yeah,
be very careful when you're walking and keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah, because, like, it'll happen, I remember I was watching this YouTube short where this guy, he was walking along a trail kind of like this one, and, well, he got bit by a copperhead, and he's like, ah, crap. Like, he was actually super calm about it, about being bit by a copperhead. Which, by the way, if you're ever bit by one, you need to be very calm and don't freak out, because they're very venomous. Yes, they're very venomous. And if you're bit by a baby, your best course of action, you need to get to the nearest hospital. Because baby copperheads don't know how to control their venom. But yeah, it's a very beautiful area. I'm actually gonna switch hands here real quick.
I know this part of the video might be a little bit on the boring side, guys. We're just walking and talking here, and if you've seen our channel before, you know how much we hate walking and talking.
Yeah. Walk, walk, walk. Talk, talk, talk. Walk, walk, walk. Talk, talk, talk. Walk, walk, walk. Talk, talk, talk. Big jump scare at the end. Except there wasn't a big jump scare at the end.
We're in the middle. We're taking this all in, though, because it's incredible to even believe that over 160 years ago, that this would have been filled with violence and blood.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming up on another marker that we can show you guys. Signs from the past.
Oh, it looks like we got a little thing we can go into to...
Yeah, the surrounding young forest can tell us much. Agriculture has long dominated the landscape. Nearby, John Gibson's horse-drawn plow broke ground for an oat field. Later, tractors would shape and alter the countryside. In the course of this evolution, roads and buildings emerged, and later would disappear from view. Yet subtle clues from the past remain to be discovered. Directly in front of you is the trace of an old ditch. This is the mill race that carried the water to Gibson Mill. As it flowed downstream, the mill's water slowly gained elevation over the creek itself. And the mill race was 9 feet above the creek. The falling water provided the power to turn the mill's water wheel. The entire mill race can be followed 3,862 feet upstream from the mill itself. Imagine, in an age before bulldozers and backhoes, completing such a project, assisted only by a shovel, your neighbors, and perhaps a mule or two.
Well, now I know what we gotta do. Now this is more like...
Well, watch your step now.
I know.
We're both in sliders here.
I'm like, now I know what we gotta do.
And guys, I think we're going to be able to go straight on down
to the mill.
To the mill and the creek itself, basically here. And so also be very careful though when you come, guys, because once again, not just snakes, but poison ivy can be a problem.
And thorns.
And thorns, and also ticks.
Yep, so we'll probably have to check for ticks ourselves, Dad, when we get back to the car. Oh, wow. Takes you directly to the creek, guys. Now, there's a beautiful shot. I'm like, now I know what we gotta do. Grabbing a drink of water, Dad?
Yeah.
It's very clear looking water, which is definitely what you want when it comes to this.
These are beautiful Missouri Ozark streams. You can wash your face. You can get you a drink of water. And I wanted to do this for 2 reasons. Not just because I was thirsty, but also because it's the same waters that they crossed. It's the same waters that they drank. So.
All right, now I got to do it. Here, hold the camera. Oh, here. I'll help you out.
Watch yourself. There's one better too. Yeah. There we go. Yep, watch yourself now.
I should have worn better shoes for this.
Yeah.
If I knew we were going to do this, I would have
worn better shoes. Spur of the moment. Yeah. Bet you it's pretty good fishing in this creek too. Probably not allowed to do that for obvious reasons around these parts of the creek, but
alright, I guess now we just head up this trail here because there's more.
You good?
Yep.
Alright.
Sorry, there's a lot of slipping and sliding, guys.
I took you right down down to the creek itself.
Yep. And here we still got more to go. Because I think this actually takes you to the mill site if you follow it up.
It probably does.
It's about a half a mile up the creek here.
That's cool. There's a little island in the middle of the creek, guys.
Yeah. Hold on, let me. There you go. There's another area. Oh, there's a hole. Don't want to.
Somebody lives there. Something lives there.
Yep. Don't want to go near that hole.
Yep.
You don't know what lives in that hole. Oh, crap.
Yep. Watch yourself now, son. You're going to get caught by thorns. Long shoes to be wearing something like this.
That was a spur of the moment thing. I'm like, well, now I know what we got to do. Oh, hey. It's just a loopy loop.
Yeah, that took you down to where basically the mill site was, son.
Ah. Okay, cool. Hey, guys, we got to see where the mill site was, which was probably the exact area that we went down to the creek at.
Well, I find it important to kind of observe and take in the historical significance of it all.
Yeah?
And just by doing little things like that, you kind of put yourself in the middle of a Union or Confederate soldier's shoes and what they must have been thinking right at the time that they stopped to get a drink of water.
Yeah. Almost tripped and fell on my face there, guys. Oh, wait. Oh, snap. I didn't even realize. This ditch here that we crossed at, that's it. That's the mill ditch.
Yeah.
The mill race.
Here it is.
Like, this is the mill race, and it will take you all the way up to the mill site.
Looping back to the parking area there where we came in at.
Yeah. So, like, that first bridge we crossed was also the mill race, Dad.
Yep. Well, we got much more to discuss and talk about, guys. We'll see you again on the next one.
Wait, Dad. Trail.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We have to.
There's something down here.
Exactly.
A marker.
See? I told you.
Gibson Mill Site.
Oh, this is it? This is the mill site. Health advisory. The waters may be hazardous to your health.
That's why. It could be.
In 1966, archaeologists discovered parts of the mill's foundation, water wheel, and gearing and millstones. They also found melted glass and charred timbers, evidence that the mill was destroyed by fire after the war. A short distance up the trail from here, you will find the foundations of the Gibson's house, also excavated in 1966. Evidence suggests that the house was built in the 1850s and probably burned sometime after 1876.
Okay, and if you're going to go down here, guys, be very, very careful. Because at this point, this creek is rolling, okay? Them currents will swiftly take you downstream.
I think we need better shoes to go down this part, honestly.
Well, we're not going to go all the way
We're
down.
not going to go all the way down into where the actual mill site was. But this is where it is.
Wire Road.
1 mile that way. I'm like, come on. We're going on an adventure. We're at Wilson's Creek National battlegrounds.
Also, the first lady kind of kicked us out of the house for the day. So.
Yeah, so we need something to do. We're on an adventure. We're doing this, and I realize we've been recording the mill section here for like 20-something minutes.
Yeah, we should probably stop with the footage of the mill stuff for now. We got a lot more to cover.
Oh, there it is! Dad! Oh wait, no, that's not it. Hold up. I was wondering if that was the mill. If that was where the Gibson house was. No, that's just, like I said, this takes you all the way back up to where the parking area is.
Yeah.
It was cool that we went to the mill site, though, because, like, yeah. Actually, I think this takes you past the Gibson house. If you go up this way.
With this up, if you get a lot of footage here.
Well, I'm sorry. Listen, if we want to post an hour-and-a-half long video of a battleground that's very significant to us, I will post an hour-and-a-half long documentary-style, walking, travel-style video of Wilson's Creek National Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Alright? In case if you don't know, we're from the Missouri Ozarks. Wilson's Creek is in the Missouri Ozarks. It's very significant to us. More beautiful shots of the creek.
This creek, though, guys, I'm telling you, if you were to get in there, enter at your own risk, because those currents are moving.
Probably at this point when it's probably fed.
River.
Yeah.
It'd be a good float creek.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that, guys. We're going to try to get a float trip video put together.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Thought I'd mention it.
You want to... Well, actually, we'll talk after we're done filming here.
Yeah.
Walking and talking, guys. Walking and talking. Don't worry, this is not the Blair Witch Project, though. It's much more entertaining than that. It's much more entertaining than that. Actually,
much more entertaining than the Blair Witch Project.
Exactly. We made a whole video making fun of it. Yeah, and that takes you all the way up to the parking area. And then, honestly, I don't even know where that takes you. Hold up. Hold the camera for a bit.
Okay.
Because I have the map here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just passed the Gibson Mill site. This is pretty much just a walking. This is pretty much a walking trail, and it goes up to, looks like, number 3. So we should probably head back if we want to hit spot number 2.
Yeah.
So
head back and
that's it for
section of the video for now.
Yeah, that's it for the Gibson Mill. Yeah, the Gibson Mill site here. I've been walking for a bit, so
there's a lot more to explore, including actual sites of the battle itself.
Yeah, and like I said,
You gotta take a look at Ray House.
Yeah, Ray House and Bloody Hill and all that. So stay tuned for that, guys, as we make our way back to the car, and we will see you in a bit.
Alright, we're back with part 2, guys. And here is Ray Spring House.
Which
you can see it in the distance over here.
There it is.
It's that concrete building down there, stone building. And it says that it was a stone spring house, part of the historic property of John Ray, whose house stands on the hill above you, over here.
Right there. And we'll be walking the trail here, guys, to go to the house.
The spring house provided water and also a cool place to store milk, eggs, butter, vegetables, and other perishables. During and after the battle, the Ray's house served as a field hospital for the Confederate soldiers, and the Ray children carried cool water from the spring house for the wounded to drink. Surgeons also used the water to wash wounds and to cleanse their surgical instruments. And here is an illustration of what was happening from that very spring house.
Yeah, there's somebody running, so I didn't want to film them by accident. No. Alright, and we'll see you inside of the house, guys, where we won't be able to film, but we'll tell you about our stuff from the house. Now go.
So we're here with another little marker here, and this one says, Morning Disrupted. The Civil War was more than a conflict between the North and South, abolitionists and slave owners. It was complicated. John Ray, originally from Tennessee, was pro-Union and a postmaster. He and his wife, Roxana, listed an enslaved woman named Rhoda and her 4 children in the 1860 census. According to Olivia Ray, at 6 a.m., August 10, 1861, her sister Livonia and brother Wesley were herding their horses in the valley south of the spring house across the Tour Road. Suddenly, a Confederate soldier rode up on horseback and said, "Get out of here, children. They'll be fighting like hell here in less than 10 minutes." As troops advanced over the horizon, Roxana and Rhoda took the children into the cellar. John Ray stayed on the front porch to watch the battle in his cornfield. Although cannon rounds landed in the backyard, the house sustained no damage and the Rays were unharmed. That in itself, guys, is an absolute miracle.
Yeah. The Ray house, circa 1883. The Rays lived in this house until their deaths in the 1870s. So basically, from where we came from at the Gibson Mill site is where the fighting took place. From home to hospital.
After intense fighting, Confederate troops drove Captain Joseph Plummer's Unions from the Ray cornfield. To save Plummer's men, Union artillerymen on Bloody Hill fired on the Confederates and forced them to retreat. When part of the 3rd Louisiana fled toward the Ray house, the artillerymen shifted their fire toward the house. The attack stopped when a yellow hospital flag was raised on a porch pillar. Roxana, Rhoda, and the children emerged from the cellar to find their home had become a military field hospital. The family began to treat wounded soldiers coming up the hill. General Lyon's body was found on Bloody Hill and taken to the Ray house. Later that afternoon, 5 Missouri State Guard soldiers volunteered to escort Dr. Samuel Melcher and Lyon's body to Springfield.
War raged in corn.
John Ray watched the battle unfold from his porch. At 6:30 in the morning, August 10, 1861, soldiers appeared in his cornfield. The cornfield is the fenced high ground just up the hill from the Ray spring house. Led by Captain Joseph Plummer, those professional soldiers were sent by General Nathaniel Lyon to secure the Federal left flank. Plummer observed the line on the Bloody Hill. He moved to silence them, but 900 Louisiana infantry and Arkansas dismounted riflemen stood in their way.
The clash was short and decisive. Confederate Colonel James McTavish inspired a daring charge through the corn. The U.S. regulars retreated back to the creek. Only the artillery fired by Dubois' battery on Bloody Hill saved Plummer's battalion. Olivia Ray stated in 1930 that practically all the horses, cattle, hogs, chickens, and grain on the Ray farm was taken by the soldiers.
Okay, real quick, guys, because we don't want to get other people caught in our footage here.
But
we're currently on Wire Road. This is Wire Road.
Yeah, right here, and then if you go right down there, this is Wire Road. It would literally run right across the Ray house here.
And why Wire Road is significant is because that was the road that established the telegraph system from one point to the other to be able to establish communications.
Yeah. No, and it's eerie as well.
Yeah, because one quick little side note, one more thing to add, and that is that what we learned about Ray House up here is that the incidents leading up to it and involving it are very similar to the incidents leading up to and involving Elkhorn Tavern in Pea Ridge, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And that in both cases, the Elkhorns and the Rays had to take refuge in their cellars.
Yeah. The only difference is that he mentioned that the Battle of Wilson's Creek itself lasted 6 hours. Pea Ridge lasted 3 days.
And we're going to take a quick little trip on over to the
Spring House. Yeah. And we got to walk over there since we can't really drive over to the Spring House.
And that's very important that if you guys come on recommendations from us, because we're going to tell you, come. Yeah. If you get a chance, come and see this. But it's also very important that you observe the rules and regulations of the park.
Yeah.
So that people can continue to remember the significance of what Wilson's Creek really is. Because I'm sure there are so many people out there that only seem to think that the Civil War was Virginia and the Carolinas and
even
the South.
The tour guide in there was also thinking about that, and it wasn't until he was much older that he realized that no, the Civil War was a nationwide conflict.
As Bull Run itself was the first major battle of the Civil War. 3 weeks later,
Wilson's Creek
happens,
which is the second major battle of the American Civil War. Also, I think we should use the crosswalk over here to not get, because technically this is a federally regulated grounds, which means we should probably adhere to the laws.
Yeah, and jaywalking is a crime, guys.
So, yeah.
But it's very cool. And in both cases, Elkhorn Tavern and Ray House were both forcefully turned into field hospitals.
Yeah.
And I think in both cases, the families were left with literally nothing when it was over.
Yeah, because like the Confederates, by the time that they exited the Ray House, the Confederates literally took all of their livestock and all of their corn and stuff and left, leaving the Rays only with 3 chickens to last them through the winter.
Which wasn't going to do.
So the winter of 1861 for the Rays must have been one of the roughest winters that they ever did. And I think it was one of the slave children, it's unfortunate, but that's what it was here, caught typhoid fever and unfortunately passed because of it. Because the Confederates, there's a sinkhole which we are going to visit because it's in a walking trail. The Confederates buried their bodies in a sinkhole,
which contaminated the water.
Yeah. There's even a sign that says that the water is not drinkable because it's still poisonous to this day. So now we're visiting the Ray Spring House, which is basically where they kept all of their, this is basically where they got their drinking water, and this is where they kept their meats and other stuff. So, yeah. And it looks like we can even go inside of it, Dad. What? Yeah, we can go inside of it.
God, this is very cool, guys. More of Wilson's Creek. At this point, just a stream.
Yeah.
Watch your step.
Dad, I don't want to drop the camera. Sorry, I didn't want to drop the camera.
You don't want to go all the way up in there because it's full of water.
Okay.
But you can get footage of it because this is a spring. See?
Yeah, okay, let me...
They built this house around the spring. That's why it's called a spring house.
There you go, guys. We can't really go all the way up in here, but yeah, it's very echoey actually. But the spring, and it feeds directly into probably Wilson's Creek there.
Yeah.
Or probably just a stream that feeds into another one.
I'm sure that feeds, and you can see
it runs down into the creek.
down.
Again, Dad, I'm going to have you.
And then the spring itself, this is going to be all of it right here. And it's going to feed into the creek.
I'm going to have you
on down.
take the camera. But yeah, no, it's I didn't want to drop the camera.
To the car.
And as you can see, the spring itself is right here, and it actually feeds right there.
Yeah.
And this goes all the way back down.
There's probably
to
another
the main
spring
section
up here, and they kind of.
I think this actually feeds all the way into Wilson's Creek, because I don't think this is Wilson's Creek itself. But there's one of the springs that feeds to another stream, if you will, that feeds to Wilson's Creek.
So we're going to walk on back over.
Yep. So we will see you guys at the next section. And, yeah, you know, we couldn't really film inside of the spring house because it was full of water. And, yeah, so we'll see you then. There you go.
And we're back with stop number 3, guys. This is where Pulaski's Arkansas Battery and the East Battlefield overlook is that way. And we're going to go on both, but a little information for you. In the opening moments of the battle, Union infantry swept back Southern cavalry, overrunning 2 camps and topping the crest of Bloody Hill. Nothing stood in the Federals' way. At the bottom of Bloody Hill lay the main Southern camps, virtually defenseless. Then, from the top of the ridge to your right, Captain William E. Woodruff's Pulaski, Arkansas Battery opened fire, enfilading the entire length of the Union line. These 4 cannon forced a halt in the Federal advance. As a result, the Southern infantry was able to organize a line of battle and attack the Union line. The trail beginning here leads to the site where the Pulaski, Arkansas Battery was positioned, and also to the site of General Sterling Price's Confederate headquarters on the opposite side of Wilson Creek. The round-trip walk to both sides is about 1 mile.
An ironic footnote: before the Civil War, the bronze guns of the Pulaski Battery were under the command of Captain James Tatton at the U.S. Arsenal in Little Rock, where war-threatened Arkansas secessionists took control of the arsenal. But Captain Tatton remained loyal to the Union. Here at Wilson's Creek, Tatton commanded a Union battery across the creek on Bloody Hill, and found himself opposing his old guns manned by his old friends.
That is unbelievable.
Yep. And over here, Price is giving us information on Price's headquarters.
Price's headquarters. Since August 6, 1861, thousands of Confederates had been camping in this area surrounding Major General Sterling Price's headquarters, waiting to attack the Union Army in Springfield. On the night of August 9th, the long-awaited orders were issued. Pickets were called in, and the Army began to advance. But when it began to rain, the Confederates postponed their attack, fearing their black gunpowder would become wet. The Army returned to camp, but the pickets were not ordered to resume their posts. As a result, the Confederates had no warning of the Union advance. On the morning of August 10th, the Confederate officers at Price's headquarters did not know that Union columns were closing in on their camps from 2 directions. Shortly after dawn, the Federals gave the rebels a rude awakening. The trail beginning here leads down to the historic Wire Road, then across the creek to the site of Price's headquarters. The leisurely round-trip walk is less than 1 mile. Leisurely.
Let's do this.
Leisurely.
Pulaski's Battery and Price's HQ, 1/4 mile.
Again, no bicycling, but pets are allowed.
Make sure you clean up after your pets.
Yep.
Hold up, I got a rock in my shoe. Here we go. Fort Smith Battery, 1/4 mile.
Fort Smith. Fort Smith.
Which I think that's where the Confederates were trying to attack at Pea Ridge, Dad.
No. They would have had their fort down there, Fort Smith.
Huh. Would you look at that?
Okay, this way.
Yep. And then so, yeah, we're heading to the Fort Smith Battery here, guys, and we're realizing that this is probably going to be on the longer side here, so this, honestly, if it gets to be too long, might split this up into a couple of parts.
Yeah, we might have to, but there's a lot to cover and a lot to talk about. We realize that a lot of the footage is just walking and talking here, but
Well, it's more in the sense of like we can like call it our very first docu-series, if you will.
second, actually.
Second.
Pea Ridge.
Well, Pea Ridge was a 30-minute documentary video. I would say like docu-series where it's multiple parts, Dad.
Right.
And obviously we're just talking and making stuff up as we normally do in these videos.
But more serious tone because more serious subject.
Yeah, it's not like we're making fun of a Lifetime movie. Oh, I hear the creek down the hill.
Yeah.
Again, it's the only things you can really hear are the birds and the bugs, you know. It's very quiet here. Except for my phone. You know? And
once again, imagine, if you guys can, 163 years ago, what it would have been like if you were, say you were a Confederate soldier.
there's the creek.
Minding your own business. You knew war was coming, but you didn't know when.
Yeah.
Until the Union give you a big old wake-up call.
Basically what happened was that like they were camping here and they didn't realize that there was the Union was advancing, and then they gave them a rude awakening. And it seemed like that the Union was going to have a short and decisive victory here at Wilson's Creek.
But that
was soon about to change due to the Arkansas Battery and the Fort Smith Battery.
Because, as we had said, guys, they caught them by surprise. But the battery that we're about to visit here is what kind of pushed them back for a bit so they could regain their bearings. And there's Wilson's Creek.
There's a beautiful view of Wilson's Creek.
Such pristine environments we have here in the Ozarks.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and if you guys didn't know, admission here is absolutely free.
Yep. And if you want, there is the Smallland Civil War Cave and Ozark, and when we come up with the money for that, we can go visit it as well.
Yeah, unfortunately it costs a little bit of money. It's not too bad, guys. But
Yeah.
It costs a little bit of money.
It's about $35 a person from what I saw on the website. And first sign of the battery, guys.
Yeah,
The cannons. The cannons. Which I think this takes us directly to the cannons. Here we go.
So, my speculation, I guess, would be that the camping of the Confederate Army would have probably been...
It was on the other side of Wilson's Creek
right
over there.
Here, and they were chased, basically, and fought, but were met by those.
The cannons. And unlike the Gibson Mill, guys, where we were just walking and talking, I'm not going to be filming as much. So we'll film the cannons here, and then, because this looks like it just circles back around to the previous trail.
It does. But it's unbelievable. But
here you see that, see, these were probably all overgrown with trees and stuff, and the Confederates were running behind, and the Unions followed them, and then just BAM!
Yep. And
immediately.
It's crazy to think that you can actually touch
here and
these replicas, or not replicas, but these pieces of history here.
Yeah.
You probably had to, basically, looks like there's a mechanism here on the back, and you probably would have unscrewed this and then unhooked this.
Yep.
And you would have put your ball in.
Yep.
And you would have lit the fuse.
And BAM! Like I said, the Union, you know, thought it was going to be a quick and decisive victory. Were met with these, and they were met with even more at Pulaski's Arkansas Battery. These are just one of the many.
Yeah.
So we're going to stop here real quick, and we'll meet you guys at the Pulaski Arkansas Battery.
Alrighty.
And we're back with the Pulaski's Arkansas Battery, guys. From this position, 4 cannons of the Pulaski Arkansas Battery supported the Confederate infantry during the Battle of Wilson's Creek. 2 artillerists were killed by opposing cannon shots here, and 1 was wounded by a mini ball. Despite the casualties, Captain William E. Woodruff believed his battery had a very successful day of gunning. Woodruff wrote, "Our fire was directed where it could be advantageously used without injury to our own troops, sometimes at the opposing battery, at the others against the assaults of the enemy on the hill to the northwest. The guns in place here today are aimed towards the site of the opposing Union batteries on Bloody Hill." So, that way.
If we follow it out, then...
If we follow it out, it should be pointing towards Bloody Hill. It's unfortunately overgrown.
See, but
there's Race Cornfield right there.
Yeah.
In which where most of the fighting took place.
The hill itself is probably just over the horizon right over here.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, that's this, and we'll see you over at Price's headquarters.
Yeah. And sorry if we sound out of breath, guys. We just walked a big giant hill up here. And we'll actually film all the way down the hill to show you, and just imagine what it must have been like back in 1861, where they must have hauled
that battery up this hill.
Yeah, and let's walk down and show you what it is, because we're not walking back up this hill again.
Well, not till maybe next year if I come back.
Yeah. But just imagine hauling this cannon all the way up this hill, and then after the battle is done and over with, hauling it back down again.
And just so you folks are aware, this trail, this road, if you will, is essentially the exact same road they would have had in 1861.
Yep. And there's some more of Wire Road right there, guys.
They wouldn't have done anything to this really except keeping it kind of level more or less over the years. Maybe coming in with a lawnmower with a blade and making sure that it stays pretty smooth. But other than that, they would not have touched this.
Yeah.
And obviously, they come in and they weed eat and they make things nice and easy for us.
Yeah.
But they don't really disturb the preserve itself, if you will.
Yeah. And then this road here, a quarter mile, will take you towards Price's HQ. And so we'll see you at a Confederate headquarters.